Do you ever get anxious before social events? Imagine a room full of people, and then there's you. The sights, sounds and smells blend to form a wall of clawing unease, and while in one sense you're relieved to have turned up, in another you'd like the ground to suck you up and transport you back to safety. It's intensely uncomfortable. Are you standing right? Or how about the way you hold your drink? Did your laugh sound natural? Is your smile weird? Other people look so natural and at ease. Are you even normal? And if you recognise something here, let's explore the causes of social anxiety and give you a clear plan to quickly prepare for social situations. But wait, who am I to talk about this? Well, despite the smiles, my early 20s were riddled with fear. Looking back now, it's striking how much time and attention I paid to avoiding situations that might have exposed this vulnerability. I donned a constant smile to mask how I felt underneath. Why? Well, because I didn't believe people would want to know me if I wasn't on form. They might view me as a burden. And because I didn't know how to address my life, an insecure young man with a less than steady past and a fragile sense of future, pretending seemed safer and easier, even though it felt exhausting. I don't mind admitting it, I was lost, without a compass for direction or an anchor for stability. But what scared me most was someone asking me how I really was and thinking the floodgates might open and I'd embarrass myself in some horrible way. So I promised myself I would learn how to deal with social situations, to manage my fears and trust that becoming open would be the gateway to a more honest conversation, just like I'm having with you now. Hi everyone, I'm Dominique Decker, a registered therapist and your support for a calm and confident future. Do you ever find yourself out in public or at a social event and suddenly you feel anxiety rising? Or you try to predict what happens next against a background dread of potential humiliation? Maybe you'll do something silly or embarrassing to cast you out as someone unworthy of care or affection. Your sense of self changes in these moments, and you may feel strangely removed or out of touch. It's as if you're trapped in some surreal and dreamlike state. What makes this experience so intense is that when it strikes, and often it's sudden, your self-focus dials up. Every word, action, even how you swallow or hold your body can feel awkward, wrong and uncomfortable. So what's going on? Well, you manage your internal feelings, the physical sensations and your emotional experience, plus the stressed out thoughts running rampant through your mind at the time. And then there's your external situation, the public space, other people, maybe a desire to perform well or appear vaguely normal. So you dread coming across in a way that threatens negative judgment or rejection from the people around you. Well, such fear is understandable. Most of us don't relish banishment to the misfit corner. Acceptance and belonging from other people represent basic human needs. So these moments of social anxiety combine a range of competing concerns to firefight. And that's a stressful experience. So let's cover some general pointers about social anxiety and how you can prepare for situations with and around other people. Events like weddings, work drinks and parties come to mind, or other occasions in which you can feel exposed, uneasy, or just less than your best. So what do we mean when we talk about social anxiety? Well, social anxiety is a significant and chronic fear of social or performance-related situations. Sufferers fear that they may be embarrassed, negatively judged, rejected, humiliated or scrutinised by other people. But this anxiety is more than a bit of everyday shyness. It limits your life by reducing your participation in typical situations. And that's not to say that it's always unbearable every time. Often the intensity of discomfort correlates to your background levels of stress. But as a rule, you'll worry a lot before events and anticipate things going wrong. You'll also feel distracted or preoccupied after events, reflecting on your performance and fretting about what you may have done wrong. Social anxiety has different roots. It can stem from an early experience of rejection, teasing or bullying, known as direct conditioning, or if you had an isolated upbringing in which you didn't have a chance to practice social skills. Social anxiety can also result from facing unrealistic social expectations. So if you had unreachable behaviour or performance standards set out for you, then faced criticism from family members or other significant figures when you couldn't meet these standards. As a result, you learn to question your conduct, seeking excess approval or reassurance that you're accepted and doing the right thing. Some social anxiety relates to what we call observational learning. Now, this learning occurs after witnessing other people in traumatic situations, maybe a parent or older sibling. Observing others battling social anxiety, you learn to perceive helplessness and distress as normal responses to social situations. Then, you adopt these responses as your own. I mean, it's no surprise if you assume that social anxiety is normal when it's what you've observed in those closest to you. Another factor is information transfer. Transfer occurs when you've grown up with fearful, overprotective or socially anxious parents, and as a result, you've learned that the world isn't a safe place and that fear is the correct response to new or unfamiliar situations. Now, this conditioning is tough to tackle in later life. It's like ironing out a shirt with it on. Ouch! It would have been easier to deal with those crinkles straight from the wash. Thanks, Mum. Thanks, Dad. So, we have direct conditioning, observational learning, and information transfer as causes of social worry. As a result of the emotional experience, social anxiety sufferers often hold negative self-beliefs. Well, these are firmly held beliefs about their inadequacy in social or performance-related situations. Well, these beliefs usually come with a negative bias. Now, that's a tendency to discount positive social encounters and magnify the social abilities of others in contrast to yourself. And then we also have negative thoughts, usually impulsive evaluations about ourselves in social or performance-related situations. Oh, I'm rubbish, I'm going to make an idiot out of myself, why would anyone want to talk to me? That kind of thing. So how do people tend to respond when they feel worried about social situations? Well, people often make choices based on fear and avoidance rather than what they secretly wish for. For instance, there might be a party you know you'd like to go, but still, you pass it over because you worry about how you'll react around other people. So instead, you play it safe and stay home, but still, you're disappointed to have missed it. You also develop various safety behaviours in response to social interactions. Now, these habits involve taking actions to control or limit the experience. For instance, you might avoid gatherings with more than a certain number of people, or restrict socialising to dark environments with access to alcohol to maintain distance and prop yourself up. Now, all these tactics limit choices because your conditions need to be safely in place. However you cut it, safety behaviours are about minimising exposure to a psychological threat of distress, so you set about limiting the game to be played on your own terms. And then, you can have escape planning as a backup, so you might keep an eye on where the toilets and exits are with excuses planned and ready should you need to retreat or leave without warning. Well, given recent social isolation, many more people are likely to experience this. So let's plan for success before and during social events so you can feel reassured afterwards. And by the way, if you find this helpful, you should come and check out my anxiety toolkit. It has an audio listening to help you prepare for social situations. Now, many people use it, so check the link down there later. Step 1. Okay, preparation. Beforehand, you should gather ideas you can talk about with interest. You might even practice speaking out aloud. This works because experiencing yourself talking reminds you that you can, in fact, talk freely and at ease. It's also helpful to change your perception of the event, so if you're socially anxious, putting yourself out there, it is risky. Your story will have a happy ending if people like you. And equally, you're destined for disaster if they don't. Now, this sounds drastic, but the significance you attach to a social occasion may completely outsize what it is. So rather than an opportunity to have fun and take an interest in others, it's this icky, sticky, glaring tripwire waiting to catch you out. Another good tip is to do some exercise before. So movement is a great way to burn off excess energy and stress. When you feel more connected to your body, physical activity will ease into feeling more comfortable in yourself and around other people. Our next steps take place at the event. So in a group, finding your centre of gravity to feel more stable and grounded is helpful. Once you arrive, some subtle visualization can help here. Well, here's a stabilizing technique you can use for arrival. Start by focusing on a point 5 centimeters below your navel. Then visualize a source of energy and strength in this place. It could be a golden ball of calm or a stable wall of confidence, whatever works for you. But once you have a clear and concrete sense of stable energy, you can return to this point of focus whenever needed. This requires practice, so rehearse this technique in your downtime to make it familiar. I've got some great help with this in my anxiety toolkit, link in the description, so check it out afterwards. Included is a specific audio rehearsal that will help you prepare redirecting your attention towards calm and stability, rather than feeling awkward and uncomfortable. And on redirecting attention, it's very useful to focus on your physical environment. So for instance, make an effort to notice your surroundings, even mundane features like wallpaper, seating or curtains. Maintaining outward focus will help you remain in the moment and part of the experience rather than the experience itself. Okay, now the climax. Other people. In addition to your own talking points, go armed with simple questions. How do you know John? Or do you know many other people here? Then use what you learn to offer a subtle compliment. For instance, you must know a lot about this or have learned a lot about that. Whatever is relevant. Listen for points you can agree with, and to help with the conversation take on its own momentum. Now, everyone, even you, loves someone who takes a genuine interest in them, so return to asking questions if you find yourself faltering. Of course, talking is only a part of how you come across. Body language is also essential because it sends a message to others and yourself. And if you have social anxiety, you'll tend to adopt a closed-off stance even without realising it. As a result, you look like you don't want people close to you because of internal discomfort or potential rejection. But it doesn't have to be like this. Practicing a relaxed posture, open smile, good eye contact and loose shoulders will encourage a positive response from other people because you appear more approachable. Again, it's helpful to practice open body language in private situations so it feels more natural when you find yourself with others. Okay, so we've covered social anxiety, why it might arise, and how to prepare yourself for social occasions with an outward focus. I hope this helps. Don't forget the link to my toolkit, and if you're worried that you'll still get that sudden rise of pressure or worry, check out this short video because it focuses specifically on a technique that will help you stay calm. See you soon.